But by the same token, if they put a virtual coupon on their website that anybody with a smartphone can walk in and go, hey, check this out. I get a free Blizzard with my hamburger. They can gauge that and go, okay, cool. Well, man, we gave away 6 million Blizzards this month. We need to back off the Blizzard thing and maybe let them have a free upgrade to fries. But we know they're using it. That's a good return on investment. So it's a good return on investment. Return on investment. Where I'm going with all this is where we get our information from. Investment. Where I'm going with all this is where we get our information from has changed dramatically. And I think what we're seeing is I won't say the death throes, but we're seeing a media that doesn't know how to handle that. Doesn't know how to handle that. Handle that. React and try to adjust and almost in desperation figure out where the heck did we lose control.
Well, I do want to mention this before I forget. It was my understanding, and I don't want to sound naive, but I think technically this is how it should work, is that media outlets should not be focused on editorializing every bit of news because it taints the information. So if a man walks out of the store, with a bag of bread and he taints the information. So it's the information. So the information. So a man, with a bag of bread and the lady, you tell what witnesses saw, what you know from the official, but you don't, and any supplemental information, but you don't attach to it some sort of agenda. Well, the guy was a video game, and he would steal bread all the time in the game. You could add that, but you can't. Editing, I don't know who's there because I'll check right now. I'm editing Trampled Underfoot, which is a show podcast that goes live Tuesdays. I'm going to be going live tomorrow. And it's under the Scratch podcast banner. So we had Scratch come out today. We have Hella 90s with Ryan Bitters. Michael Lowing, I believe, was a guest for the first show. And I think he has different guests I'm not sure how exactly it's going to work. But it's a network of podcasts, broadcasting station. And we were picked up initially by Blog Talk Radio. We were picked up by them. And then now we were picked up by Spreaker. So I'm editing this one. I've got the video and audio, but it's an audio podcast. But yeah, let me see who's there, if anybody, just for curiosity's sake. I don't know. Yeah. Awesome Wood Things. What's going on, dude? Yeah, I'm watching now myself watching myself just to see the chat. I know there's a way to detach the chat. All good here, brother. We have a storm, a tropical storm coming by, and essentially it's just a total rain out. It's a total rain out. Um, so yeah, seems like a deep conversation between you and Mark. Yeah, we get into music a lot. This is going to be episode 3. Um, so we all have our different, vibes. Each podcast under the Scratched podcast station has their own. Mark and I have been getting into a lot of history, westward expansion type things, and sort of, you know, family histories and novelty things of the past, and a lot of music. And then you have podcast. Then you have Scratched, where we go all over the place, and we're quite comedic without much. It's just an incredible thing. It's a funny thing, although we're rambunctious as well, to be honest with you. But it's a rain out today. We have a massive freaking storm going. Attach it to an agenda. I don't know that was a great example. You can't attach it to a political agenda. You can't have some slant to it where it's so obvious for some, and for others it taints the information. So if
it never did. It never did. There was never, and I studied journalism.
And they're convinced that that's how news. It should be take it in and without, and for others just take it in, and without a filter. They don't have the filter, and they're convinced that that's how news. It should be raw news as much as possible. We all have bias. That's how news. It should be that's how news. It, trying to get the right. It should be. There we go. Because it taints the information. It should be raw news as much as possible. We all have bias. And then there should be an editorial section, and it should be delineated so things are balanced. I don't think that balance occurs anymore much.
It never did. It never did. There was never, and I studied journalism in school. I wanted to be a reporter. I wanted to end up on TV. There was never a golden age of good journalism. Now, that's going to cheese off a few people, and I know that. But I'm just some guy in Southern Oregon in a town of 70,000 people.
He's just some guy in a small town in Oregon with 70,000 people. 70,000 isn't anything to sneeze at either.
People. I'm nobody, all right? But there never was a time of perfect journalism. You cannot have an unbiased media. It's not possible.
But is there?
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But hold on. But is that a principle at least? Is that a standard where you have editorial? Because if not, why even call it editorial? Just let it all run amok, right? I mean, is that a standard?
It used to be. I don't know if it's being taught today. It used to be taught that you do not editorialize in news, in hard news.
Let's see what's going on over on the YouTube. Guttenberg, baby. Stay dry, brother. Gutenberg. Yeah, dude. It's raining a lot, and it's constant. And what are you gonna do? It's been a washout yesterday, today. It's like it's impossible anymore, man. Constant washout. So I'm sitting here just trying to edit this because this comes out tomorrow, and yeah, I decided to do a different. Oh, look, it's Lindsay. We're editing, Mark. We have a tropical storm passing by, skirting Florida, and it's just a total washout. And well, what can I tell you, dude? So I'm editing, trying to make our deadline, and because what else are you gonna do, right? And so yeah, dude, I have a leak here in this house now in the kitchen. I have to get up on the roof and spot the filtration. Just one little drop going clip, clip, clip. But you know how that can become. So it's unfortunate. But I'm here editing live.
News, in hard news. You editorialize in commentary or analysis, but you can, but you don't editorialize in hard news.
Okay. So we're at the part where we were talking about, because the whole conversation, and this goes out live tomorrow. The whole conversation evolves as we're doing the podcast, and we started off actually mentioning Ryan Bitters and Michael Lowing, talking about their podcast, their subdivision of subsidiary of the Scratched, which is called Hella 90s. And I was just throwing back at the 90s music compared to the 80s music, and how I like the 80s music much better. And then um, we got into that conversation. Mark found some redeeming qualities of the 90s, which of course there are. But he put it in perspective, and then there's back and forth that we go through. And then we got into Frank Zappa in the 1980s with the warning labels on CDs and music and whatnot. And we got into the whole conversation of music, big music record labels, censorship of music, be it rap or be it this and that. And we go through the conversation, and we end up with newspapers and whatnot at this point. But yeah, I'm listening as we go, and working it. Let me see what you got to say. So, Awesome Wood Things has a live show this evening. Be sure to check that out. One drop and it is all it takes. Yep. Warning labels equals instant sales. A total moneymaker. It's so true. That's actually what happened. Because if you remember, some of the bands had the labels, an album cut with the labels, and an album cut without the labels. And the album cut without the labels didn't do with the warning labels. The ones without the warning labels didn't do as good, if you recall. It's hilarious. It always back when you try to, you know what I'm saying? It's like trying to tell, kids, it's trying to tell a boy and a girl not to like each other, you know? Um, Mark, we devolved into talking journalism and politics. We don't get political on the podcast. It's it's icky. Check out Matt's show. Y'all be there or nowhere. Yeah. Well, I don't want to look. I don't want to say devolve. All information, has its purpose, dude. You know. Um. So it is what it is. It's a snapshot in time of what we were talking about. Yeah. That's really all it is. I mean, because everything at the end of the day is thoughts that come out of a person's mind from all the things that they ingest throughout the course of a day, week, month, year, and so on. So it's not, it's normal. So it's just some things are more raw than others because of the implications. But yeah, I don't look here always ends with looking here. It's true. You can't tell a person, not to look, you know, because it's going to be too tempting. You'll be sweating in your bed at night thinking, I gotta look, I gotta look. Heck, I don't remember which band it was, but one of them made that warning label their entire cover. Yeah. If you stamp banned by all, authorities, it's like, oh man, I want that. You know what I'm saying? I want that. Heck, I don't remember. Oh, okay. Yeah. So let me see. Let me go here.
In hard news, you edit news. You editorialize in commentary or analysis, but you can, but you don't editorialize in hard news. But I mean, we're talking about. I mean, go back as far as you want to go. If you pick up a newspaper, and here I'm using that archaic word again, if you pick up a newspaper, everything about that newspaper is a bias. What story's on the front page? What font are they using? Is it large? Is it small? Is it easy to read? Is it difficult to read? For news. But, I mean, we're talking about, I mean, go back as far as you want to go. If you pick up a newspaper, and here I'm using that archaic word again, if you pick up a newspaper,
if you pick up a newspaper, if you pick up a newspaper,
everything about that newspaper is a bias. What story's on the front page? What font are they using? Is it large? Is it small? Is it easy to read? Is it difficult to read?
Yeah, you have to pick a front page story, and that decision is a decision. I mean, everything, you can't escape it. We're humans. I totally agree with Mark. Doesn't mean it's bad or indifferent or good or whatever. It's just a thought process that's occurring while we're talking.
To read. Is the picture above the fold or below the fold? Is the headline above the fold of the paper? Everything you see on the front page of a newspaper is put there on purpose for a reason. Yeah. And whenever there's a reason, there's a bias. And it doesn't matter what you're talking about.
Yep. I agree with Mark. Say. Let me see what you guys are. Don't look here. Okay. Heck, I don't remember which band. Okay. If you pick up a newspaper, you're just, get broadband. Well, they keep throwing newspapers at my door a lot, hoping I'd bite. And it ain't gonna happen. The internet, like we've said, I mean, we've got everything.
Right. So there is no such thing as an.
Okay, we're gonna go forward here.
You have to start kind of filtering yourself. How are things presented to me?
I like that right there. Incidentally, see, I'm editorializing at this very moment myself. So this podcast is going to be live tomorrow, and it's going to be on this channel. This is Spreaker, Scratched, right? In fact, I'll link it right here. This is where all the shows go on. So if you look down here, we have Trampled Underfoot. See, the last one today that came out was the Scratched 225 Macho Man and the Rum Induced um, clone cast. And last week we had Trampled Underfoot. Hella 90s is over here. And here's Trampled Underfoot 001, first one. The Beatles, Woodstock, and Idiocracy. And it's basically Scratch, the main podcast. And then we have our tentacles, like Trampled Underfoot, Hella 90s. And there's going to be more coming out. And you can see all the episodes we have here. Look at all these episodes going down. I don't know if you can see that, but we've been doing it for a while. Look at that. Look at all those episodes. You know, there's a lot going on there. Let's see. I haven't listened to today's Scratch yet. Yeah, it's pretty freaking funny, to be honest with you. Next week's the one that I edited because I had to edit I actually had to edit today. Or I'm sorry. Yesterday or the day before yesterday I had to edit. It was my turn to edit the Scratch podcast, and I edited the one that I did, and that's coming out next week. We take the role and rotate the schedule of who edits. And it just so happened that this is the week where I edit, and plus I have to edit this one. So it's kind of like, and not to mention I've got the Mad Maker show tomorrow with Bob Lee. Bob Lee is going to be on the Mad Maker show. And so there's like 3 shows that's going on for me at the moment. And, you know, in a way it's funny, you know, but this whole live thing and show and podcast and all that, it's a fair balance, if not maybe more feasible than just raw straight up video, which is edited and you know, there's a balance to be struck there. What's going on? Harju in the house. We're editing, dude. I'm editing the Trampled Underfoot thing, and we've got this tropical storm skirting us on the west coast, and all the rains are circling, and it's just a constant downpour outside, and it's a total washout. It's been so constant. I mean, constant. I'm quitting for the day. Maybe back tonight. We'll see. Well, what's going on in your? I saw that bed that you finished up. That was pretty sweet, dude. Did you use Be Happy wax or Happy wax? Was that what you used? Because you said oil. You had mentioned that you on that bed, beautiful bed, oil and wax finish. Um, Incidentally, if you have um, so let me go do this. If Awesome Wood Things is there, Awesome Wood Things, could you link your channel, your show for tonight, if you want to do that? And I'm gonna go and link Harju real quick here. Countrybed.com. See, it comes right up. I don't know if you can see the screen perfect, but I'll just link Harju so it can be recorded here for whoever comes by later on. And incidentally, incidentally, and anything you need to post as well, Mark. This is the storm right here. I don't know if you can see that. Let's expand this. See if I can get it. There we go. So there's a storm hugging the west coast of Florida, and it's going up into the Gulf. I live on the east coast, and all that rain is swirling and swirling and swirling and coming and hitting us in a constant fashion. But it's a tropical storm. The winds are 45 miles per hour, and it's moving at 16 miles per hour. That's also so if a rain comes and it's quick, that's one thing. But if it's slowly coming across and downpouring constantly, it's like a constant barrage, constant. And well, our streets are freaking flooded right now. What are you gonna do? Yeah, see what you guys are saying. Lazy Watchsmith, hello from Finland. Hey, what's going on, Lazy? Daniel Harju, I hate that website. Can't wait for the new one to be ready. It's so nice. Oh, I haven't seen the new one. It's in the works. I can't wait to see it too, dude. Awesome Wood Things just added his show. It's going to be tonight, Monday, this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, and he's got the link there. So you guys watching later on or come across it or look at the chat independently of what's going on in the video. Because what's cool is that you can start the video and the chat's all there, so you can grab and scroll down and you got all the info, going on. Awesome wood thing. It swirls the opposite direction, counterclockwise, correct? But listen, Matt, do I look like the weatherman here? Yes, I should know that because I live in Florida. Jeez, Matt. For goodness sakes. I think it does go counterclockwise, though. Because if not, they wouldn't have the little thing in that fashion. That would be... Well, it could go either way now, couldn't it? Dude, don't ask me frickin' scientific. What's wrong with you? Awesome Wood Things. My goodness. I mean, for goodness sakes. I'm not from there, but my dad is. Oh, he's talking to Lazy. Science, baby. Woo! Says Awesome Wood Things. Don't hit me with all that science, man. You don't want me to frickin', wig out. So yeah, so we're editing for the Scratched podcast. We're Trampled Underfoot, and we're under the banner of Scratched. And Scratched is a podcast that was picked up by Spreaker, originally picked up by Blog Talk Radio. They hooked us up, and there's a lot of material that you can see there. And we're editing Trampled Underfoot episode 3.
You're talking about. You have to start kind of filtering yourself. How are things presented to me?
Okay. See, the thing about editing these is there's other conversations and other topics that we have, and we can do a 3-hour freaking podcast. Well, in this case, it's like an hour and a half. But the point is that at some point, once the discussion within that particular conversation has a good sort of solid ending where we've roundabout talked about everything, we could go and move to the next thing. But there's always extra bits that are fascinating in the conversation, and you could basically keep going. That's where the editing occurs.
People tend to gravitate towards things that they like, that they agree with, and with other people who...
See, that's great. There's no way we're going to eliminate that. So we'll add it.
people tend to gravitate towards things that they like, that they agree with, and with other people who agree with them.
Yeah, it's called confirmation bias.
Exactly. And you're going to pick the sources that make you go, yeah, damn right. You're going to avoid the sources that make you want to stand up and throw something through the TV screen.
Yeah, it's totally human nature to say this is what I agree with, so I'm going to read more, consume more of that.
Exactly. Well, what you're seeing now is they had control of that.
See, originally we were talking about, and we're still kind of in that area where the record companies, news media, and media in general, that they had a whole grip on things, but now bands had to, if you were a band, you had to go through the proper sources. In general, there's always exceptions to the rule, but you could break through, possibly, but the big sort of doorway was the process, and the record companies took it all. And bands, I mean, you know the stories. Bands, give it all up just so that they can get a little piece, crumbs of the pie. And now with the advent of this whole internet media, uh, you can basically put up your own uh, music video channel, music, the podcasting, and all that. And the issue is the pushback to take control back from this anarchy, which we don't want. We don't want that. We want complete, well, at least, I do, complete, ability for people to put out their thing and, and fight it out. You get more bands. It gets cluttered, though. There is pros and cons to it. So there is pros and cons. But I prefer the Wild Wild West because you can search out and discover a whole ton of different, music and information and just all sorts of stuff.
They had control of that. Now they don't, because there are a lot of outlets. There are other outlets.
I was just saying that, Mark. Why did you have to repeat what I was saying?
There are people right now, and I think probably both of us would be hard pressed.
And I also cut out a little bit of the pauses. Like in the in-between pauses. Not all the time, but just
pressed to name the anchors of the three major networks' evening news.
I can't because I haven't watched that in years.
I rest my case.
Okay, that's a good place to end this whole line of thinking, because Mark stated his case and mine, which we kind of, concur. And so I can round up. But I'm sure if I were to just keep listening to the actual conversation, there's more info. So it's a hard decision to make, but you have to make it at some point. Oopsie, my mouse is acting up a little bit. I gotta draw this back down a little bit. So this is our bumper, and this is where commercials go in.
I rest my case. Trampled Underfoot.
And now we begin the search for new conversation. We've got all this here to go. Right? Let me see what you guys are saying. Hey, look, it's Jim Dockrell. Had a water leak yesterday morning. It's turning into a full-blown bathroom renovation. Holy smokes, dude. You're kidding me. Well, I've got one in the kitchen now. So I'm going to have to, once this all stops, I have to climb up here in this house, climb up and look for the frickin', spring. It just, unbelievable. But it's been a constant, by the way. Another thing, we've had a constant rain. Look at this. Look at this jazz here. See that? We have a tropical storm, Jim, that's skirting the edge of Florida on the west coast, and it's swirling. You know, it's funny, Matt. Now looking at this, the way it kind of, I'm not sure. It kind of looks like it's clockwise because you see how that's. But then again, we don't know. You know what? Do we have a? No, it looks counterclockwise here. It just looks funky over here. So, anyways, we're getting constant rain. The winds are 45 miles per hour, and it's moving west northwest at 16 miles per hour. So it's very slow, and it's like constant rain, man. But like constant rain, constant, hour upon hour upon hour. Our streets are flooded, and it's just an unbelievable amount of freaking water, dude. But we're lucky that it's a tropical storm number one, because hurricanes going up into the 80 mile per hour and above, 100 and something mile per hour and above, is quite dangerous to property and life and all that. But just the same, it's way out west, but we're feeling it's clear across Florida on the west side towards the Gulf, and we're on the east side, Atlantic Ocean, and yet we're still getting it because it's so massive in size. And so that's what we've got. We've got total washout here. Jim. Oh, wait, let me see. Awesome. Good luck with the post-destruction steps. What happened, Jim? Yeah, I got a big section of floor torn up. I think the destruction part is done. Holy smokes, Jim. Good luck with the post-destruction steps. Oh man, there's absolutely nothing good about finding a leak. Nope, there's nothing good about it. Well, hold on. It's good that you find it, the source. But I know what you're saying. Lazy says, thanks guys, need to go. All right, catch ya. Be good. Matt says bye. Jim says, looking at tub surrounds and flooring right now. The sink and toilet are newer already. Need some plywood and insulation too. What a freaking mess, man. Take care, Lazy, says Mark. Jim, I have dropped an F-bomb several times so far. Yeah, I told it. Are you kidding me? The next one's always around the bend. Be Happy Woodworking. What's going on, Happy? We've got that storm coming around. Be Happy. Hugging the west coast of Florida, bringing us frickin' rain, doing us in. But it's a constant rain. It's 45 miles per hour, I was just mentioning. Winds 45. It's moving at 16 miles per hour. And it's hitting the west coast. It's going up the Gulf, skirting the edge of Florida. And it's going west-northwest. But even so, we're getting a constant amount of rain. And it's coming down in buckets, man. I'm pro F-bomb. In situations like that, Jim, I use the F-bomb like punctuation. Great replacement for commas and semicolons. Hey, Temple Boom, what am I, freaking invisible, Escagedo? No, dude, of course you're not. You're Temple Boom. You're not invisible. Where were you? Oh, shit. Oh. See what you made me do? You made me cuss. Cool. He says up there, okay, I found you. I did not see you, dude. Temple was getting upset up in the northern lands. He was like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? Temple. Oh, Temple. I didn't see you because it wasn't showing. Let me turn the AC. It's pretty hot now. You just got me all, I'm all hot now, dude. I got to turn up the AC because you just made me sweat. I snuffed frickin' Temple Boom. What the heck? Temple. This is Temple. Check it out. This is Temple. His comment. And by the way, Temple has by the way, Temple has a wrench, so he has the ability to. He has a wrench, so he says, "What?" and it's all in capital letters. Check this out. What? Am I freaking invisible, Escagedo? Sheesh. In capital, all caps. This is like the distraught commentators, when you get uh, just cracking up. He's cracking up there. He's hot under the collar. Easy, Steve, says Jim. Mark, Steve makes Eloy all hot and sweaty. You heard it. You heard it here first, folks. Well, he's making me freaking stress here. Uh, be happy. I thought, I can't even understand that word. Lipercans were invisible anyhow. What's a Lipercan? Oh, leprechaun. Well, he's a Brit living in Ireland. So, are you a Lipercan, or is it Lipercans? So yeah, we have this storm going on. Mark Lindsay, I think he meant leprechaun. Is that how you say leprechaun down in Georgia, up in Georgia for me? Leprechauns. This is St. Patrick's Day. We're gonna find ourselves some leprechauns. We, Mark, I think he meant leprechaun. And then Temple says a guy takes a few days off from the interweb and gets snubbed by the elite. Wow. Be happy. Yeah. Tequila head. Mark Lindsay. Yeah. It's that Georgia accent. He spells it out. Leprechauns. Damn it. It was all good here in America until all them darn leprechauns came over. Dang leprechauns. Jim, I resemble that remark. My roots way back are Irish. Even been smacked upside the head with a what? I can't read that frickin' word. In any event, so Jim has leprechaun roots. He's a leprechaun. So I'm here editing the. This is a little break here.
I rest my case. Trampled underfoot. People are getting their news from other sources. They're not listening.
Mark just went on with the news. He could not let go of it. And I can look. This is perfect. Check it out. Check it out. Mark, stop talking about the news. See that? Mark, are you gonna stop talking about the news now? Mark, I'm serious. Can you quit it? You see that? Mark, okay, this is Mark. This is the last time. Will you please? Can we move on? Oh man. Okay, now I gotta find the next section of conversation.
And that's partly their fault, but partly just natural. There are certain things that just can't be denied. We're having huge fires out here on the West this summer. It's how they want to talk about it and what they declare the problem with it. That's when it becomes the problem. Yeah, just the too. And I think it's a lot of generational, quote unquote, generational identity. And we did it, I think, starting with World War II. We started calling them the greatest generation. Now, a certain portion of the rock and roll for you.
Yeah.
And that's generation versus. You said something earlier about, you were talking about how you thought, for you, 90s kind of killed a certain portion of
the way we would dress. And all these things, they're actually quite set up for us to consume, thought out.
Uh-huh.
It's all thought out,
You said something earlier about, you were talking about.
Okay, that's a good place, because now we're going to get into the rock and roll again. Let me see how this changed. I haven't watched that in years.
I rest my case. Trampled Underfoot. You said something earlier about, you were talking about how you thought, for you, 90s kind of killed a certain portion of the rock and roll for you.
Yeah.
And that's generation versus generation, and that's been going on for quite a while too. And I think it's a lot of generational, quote unquote, generational identity. And we did it, I think, starting with World War II. We started calling them the greatest generation. Now, I'm not saying that they're not the greatest generation, but that's the first time I can remember a generation being named. We called them the greatest generation. And then the generation that came after that, after everybody came home from World War II, was the baby boomers.
Okay, so now we're going into a little bit of history, but rock and roll always seems to seep back into the thing, music talk, and that's where it's heading.
And then after that, we started naming every generation. Generation X.
Generation X was after the baby boomers, no?
And yeah, they were after. I'm not sure it was directly after or what. There was Generation X. And then
Generation X, I think, starts in the mid-'60s, believe it or not. 65 on. Could be mid or to the latter half of the 60s and on. But I believe it's like from 65 or 66. I looked that up at one point. And it ends right up in the early to mid 80s, I believe, or early 80s.
Millennials and anything in between. But it's almost like an unwritten competition between the generations. My generation's better than your generation. And when you grow up in a certain decade, that's what you identify with. So of course you're going to say it was the best. Well, in my day, we had this.
Can't argue with that, Mark. I can't argue with that, to be honest with you. I don't know if you guys can hear it perfectly. Let me know can you hear what's being talked about as clearly as you can hear me, or vice versa? Like, can you hear the whole, what I'm editing clearly and myself? Could you let me know that? I'll check now in a little bit.
This. Well, in my day, we took that and we ran with it. And we made this.
Well, I want, since you did that, this is a great, because it's funny how you mentioned that, and this is a great moment for me to make my plea, my argument about my generation and the 80s, and see how you can, or how you think about it, and if you can, in contrast. Can I try?
Sure, go for it. What the heck?
So the 80s. All right. This is where I smack down the 90s and all that stuff, and make my plea for the 80s being the awesome freaking decade.
Sure, go for it. What the heck?
And also, I'm going to use this as the intro to the podcast, as an intro, where we do our intro bit, and then it gets into the commercial or the intro song. So we have a mini discussion to prep the episode, and then we get that intro music, and then the whole conversation starts going. Well, I don't have that intro conversation, small little bit done yet, and that's going to be this, I believe. this section that I'm editing now. So I have to copy this and put it, in the front of all, at the beginning. So the 80s. I really lay it on thick, making my case for the 80s being better, way better than the 90s. What the heck? So the 80s was... I got to tighten this up because I take some pauses. And you don't want too much dead air. You don't want too crunched of a thing, but... So the 80s was probably the most amazing decade. Was probably... I'm going to do some tight editing here. And I'll play it back. Let me go check with that question that I had if you can hear everything or not. Okay, so Awesome Wood Thing says, Mark Lindsay, I can hear it really well. Awesome Wood Thing audio is great. Mark's audio and yours. Be happy. Now the Celtic women are more my sound to listen to. Be happy. Laundry time. Gotta put a load in. Mark. TWSS. I don't know what the heck that means. Temple Boom says, I just seen your PMs there, John. Sorry, dude. I've been stupid busy with returning to work and class planning. All is good, says John Be Happy. Let me look back up here just for the heck of it here. Hey, I like the rock and roll, says Mark Lindsay. Temple Boy, the fairies F with your head. Move shit around and freak animals out. Did you get my PM? Says Be Happy. Okay, so there was that whole conversation. That's what she said. Oh, okay. That's what TWSS means. All right. So let me see if I can crunch this bit here because I want to make my case as strong as possible. Because I'm also egging on Ryan Bitters and Michael Loing as well. So the 80s was probably the most amazing. Let's see how that all sounds. So the 80s was probably the most amazing decade. Let's see how that all comes in. So the 80s was probably the most amazing decade. Notwithstanding great music from the 60s, 70s, and prior, and things that might have come afterwards here and there, but not as much. And here's a few of the things. The 80s heralded in, massive. The 80s heralded in. We're gonna lay it on thick. We want to kind of stoke the flames here, the fires, because I always push back when Doc, Ryan, and whatnot, they're always pushing like, oh, the 90s wasn't bad. And I'm like, yeah, the music sucked. Heralded in massive amounts of heavy metal bands. I make a good argument, it's just that I make long pauses. Long in the context of this format. Massive amounts of heavy metal bands. in massive amounts of heavy metal bands. But not just that, the arena, although there was that prior, but it was the era of arena music, rock and roll all throughout. The 80s also, I'm just going to shoot them out, was the era where punk started getting very, it took off. It was the era when the music of, what do we call that stuff? It's not alternative. Let me tighten that up. Out was the era where punk started getting very, it took off. It was the era when it's not alternative music. I forget because I wasn't much into it. The new wave, new age. Oh yeah, new age and started new wave. Getting very, it took off. It was the era when the new wave,
new age, new wave, yeah,
new wave music started to come out. There was a lot of things happening musically. The Walkman took shape, although it started off in the late 70s, 79, it came out, or 80. Then it was the era of the Walkman and the boombox. It was the era where rap took off. It was the era where, well, heck, it was the generation of gluttony and we had all these toys that they did not have in the 70s. You can argue that later, but all of a sudden, we had the massive G.I. Joe existed before, but in the 80s, all of a sudden, we had toys for kids, that were just a vast collection. Transformers, Robotech, He-Man, just it went on and on and on and the cartoons as well. All of a sudden, you had massive amounts of cartoon and a lot of cartoons. Early mornings, I know that happened in the 70s, but it was like an explosion. The video games became better. Yes, the Atari had started, but then we got into the what do you call it, the Nintendo. It's a pretty strong argument to make, at least from the perspective of a kid. You can't beat the 80s in reference to the amount of entertainment, not, barring the fact that we didn't have internet, but cartoons and everything was just back-to-back adventures. I don't know. Let me see what you're saying. Let's see what's going on over there. I'm out of here, folks. Happy editing, Eloy. Chat soon. All right, Temples. Mark, have a good evening, Steve. Jim, the 80s sucked. Big hair, spandex, and makeup. I guess he said the women only. Yeah, I get it, Jim, but you're not right. I totally get what you're saying, Jim, but you're totally so wrong about this. It's not even funny. I'll just say. I'm not going to comment, says Mark, because I did so in the video you're editing. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Mark, this is also, so, you might think that, oh, well, heck, we're doing the episode edit here live. So, what will they think to go? Well, they can go if they want to catch the full conversation to Spreaker and check out the episode. But it's a good sort of, and plus it's raining outside and we're editing and we might as well have some fun with it. You know what I'm saying? Because it is about fun at the end of the day in conversation. But yeah, you might think that, well, wait, we're giving out all the conversation here, so what the heck, But it's also a good way to show folks what we're doing behind the scenes as well. Jim Dockrell. There was supposed to be a low on the end of that. I like The Cure. Oh heck no. Oh heck no. The Cure. Jim, you're one of them Cure fans? No way, man. No, dude. What is it, boys? Don't cry. Boys, don't cry. He was so freaking always crying. He'd get up on stage and that, because you know how. So look, you have the lead singer that gets up on stage and is like, "We're gonna rock and roll. Let's do it, folks." Dude, yeah. We got the sad rock and rollers, like I've got the blues and life. We've got the party animals. Hey guys, let's go. This is that. And then we got the criers. Boys, don't cry. People are like, and the crowd, and tears. And listen, there's a pool of water on the floor of the arena. Oh, I freaking hate them. I hate them. The Cure. I had a lot of buddies that like the Cure. Oh, Motley Crue. Jim, Jim quickly scrambled to to make it the emphasis because Jim, this is this is here forever. Okay, Motley Crue. I thought you said the Cure. I'm sorry, my eyes are really bad. Like I need glasses. Okay, it's fixed. It's fixed. Jim, could you imagine? I can't imagine Jim sitting there with the Cure, rocking out to it, and just in his Canadian wilderness, and just sitting in the snow falling. And boys, don't cry. The sniffles and I can't picture it, dude. Hey, it's Herb. Herb, dude, it's good to see you, dude. We're here editing. Did you just step in? You just stepped. If you just stepped in, this is the Jim is now angry at me. I don't know the I don't know the Canadian temperament. He may be totally because he typed in Motley Crue and I thought he said Cure as in the Cure. That they used to have, so they'd have the black hair, and then they do the pasty makeup and then the eyeshadow. But what they would do is as they're singing, to like they it'd be crying and then the mascara eyeshadow thing would be dropping and the women be, he's so sensitive, and he's like, boys, don't cry, and then and then Jim, oh, now look, now Jim is trying to be Macho Man. Jim is now going Macho Man. He's saying Stevie Ray Vaughan, yeah, chainsaws and frickin' raw meat. I'm just messing with you, Jim. It was my mistake. Oh, you just got here. I'm editing the podcast Trampled Underfoot, and every now and then I jump in. Hey, Danny, what's going on? Oh, right over here. Um, Editing the Trampled Underfoot podcast with Mark, Lindsay, and I, because it comes out tomorrow. It's raining here. We've got a tropical storm, like 16 miles per hour, moving west, north. Um, 45 mile per hour winds, but the rain is ungodly. The rain has been coming down like in buckets, and it's just a constant barrage, man. It's like a total washout. Streets are flooded. It's just ridiculous. And so I figured, you know what? I'm editing anyhow. Let me prop the camera up and do some live and chat with folks while I'm editing. And it's also a good little marketing tool, you know, um, and show folks a little bit of the behind the scenes and all that. Um, Jim says, at least I've never cut myself on the scroll saw. Oh, Jim, see? Yeah, says Mark Lindsay. See, Jim has to. It's like raw meat. So at first it was the. This is on here forever, Jim. So all of a sudden, the Cure and this and that. I corrected it. We corrected it. The issues is corrected. But Jim, that he won't take the correction at its, own merit. He's got to go the extra mile just in case to recoup the outdoorsman. But sitting with an axe in the snow somewhere in the Canadian wilderness with what do you call that? The Walkman, and then you press the cassette tape. You prop the camera up, and Boys don't cry. With a, it's not a good. It's not a good. It's not a good picture. It's not a good picture. Be happy woodworking. Whoop, there it is. I like more manly tools like chainsaw. Oh, well, you did use the chainsaw in your video to dice that freaking log. So to be fair, Jim's closest neighbors are moose and squirrel. All right, let me come back quickly to the edit because I gotta figure this out real quick here.
So there was all these things happening for kids at the time. It was an incredible era that I didn't know at the time, but there was a lot of things being thrown at us. That's just a small snippet. What do you think?
I think you're right, but I think it goes beyond that.
All right.
Small snippet. What do you think?
Okay, we stop right there. What do you think? Now I've got to, well, let me move this over slightly. Now I've got to grab this whole bit of where I'm making the argument. And then I got to put it in the front of the
decade. Notwithstanding great music from the 60s, 70s. So the 80s was probably the most amazing decade.
Okay. So I got to grab all this. So I've got the bit here that I need. I'm going to copy it. And now what needs to go down is I need to move all this, all of it, the whole darn thing, over, because it's going to be the intro. I hope this is enough. Yep, it was enough. Perfect. I just got to make sure. Now it's at the front. Let me show you how the beginning will be to save this.
So the 80s was probably the most amazing decade. Notwithstanding great music from the 60s, 70s, and prior, and things that might have come afterwards here and there, but not as much. And here's a few of the things. The 80s heralded in massive amounts of heavy metal bands, but not just that. The arena, although there was that prior, but it was the era of arena music, rock and roll all throughout. The 80s also, I'm just going to shoot them out, was the era where punk started getting very, it took off. It was the era when the
New age, new wave, yeah.
New wave music started to come out. There was a lot of things happening musically. The Walkman took shape, although it started off in the late 70s, 79, it came out, or 80. Then it was the era of the Walkman and the boombox. It was the era where rap took off. It was the era where, well, heck, it was the generation of gluttony, and we had all these toys that they did not have in the 70s. You can argue that later, but all of a sudden, we had the massive G.I. Joe existed before, but in the 80s, all of a sudden, we had toys for kids, that were just a vast collection. Transformers, Robotech, He-Man, just it went on and on and on and the cartoons as well. All of a sudden, you had massive amounts of cartoon and a lot of cartoons. Early mornings, I know that happened in the 70s, but it was like an explosion the video games became better. Yes, the Atari had started, but then we got into the what do you call it, the Nintendo. There was all these things happening for kids at the time. It was an incredible era that I didn't know at the time, but there was a lot of things being thrown at us. That's just a small snippet. What do you think?
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Eloy.
We're two guys from different decades, different backgrounds, and on opposite sides of the continent, discussing life, the universe, and everything.
What's the show about?
About an hour.
Trampled Underfoot.
So Ryan Bitters and Michael Eloy just came out with a 90s episode that they're doing under the banner of Spring. You saw that, yeah, or heard that?
Yeah, and I listened to it today, yeah.
Well, you know, they're all about the 90s, obviously the focus on the 90s, and I understand that generations, you know, they appreciate their time because that's when they discovered the things that they discovered that of humanity discovers as a kid and whatnot and this that. I get that. But in retrospect, looking at the 90s compared to say the 80s, the 90s suck. They
Oh man, that was just me trying to egg on, with a bit of truth to it. Egg on Ryan Bitters and Michael Loing, reasserting the case to be made. It's crazy. Let me save that. Let me see what you guys are saying. Well, so closest neighbor is Moose. Okay, so Jim Dockrell would agree with everything Eloy says, but no sense in us both being wrong. Jim, well, back to work for me. Catch you later, right, Jim? Mark, I was working with Audacity to edit audio. There's no video to be concerned with, so you're dealing with nothing but waveforms. Yeah. Have a good one, Jim. Say howdy to Bullwinkle and Rocky for me. Herb, I would agree with the 80s being pretty awesome. Foreigner, Journey, REO, Speedwagon, 38 Special, AC/DC, GNR. I think I saw every one of those I just listed except for GNR. Wow, dude. I did get to see GNR. Herb says, see you, Jim. Mark, that's a seriously long intro, man. Yep. That's how we, hey, dude, that's how we do around here, dude. You know, we can do it long, we can do it short, we can do it left, right, upside down, you know. We're up to 39 minutes and 30 seconds.
that I didn't know at the time, but there was a lot of things being thrown at us. That's just a small snippet. What do you think?
I think you're right, but I think it goes beyond that.
Okay, where you say, what do you think? Okay, we can keep going here.
It goes beyond the toys, and I mean, think of movies. You know, that was when some of the best movies out there came out. You know, E.T., The Extraterrestrial, The Breakfast Club. You know, Ferris Bueller. I mean, Goodfellas. Excuse me, now Goodfellas was 90s. I'm sorry, that's wrong. But I mean, some of the best movies out there came out during the 80s. You know, I mean, we can argue about Top Gun, but yeah, Back to the Future, The Shining, Predator, things like that. And the music, I mean, it was all over the place, everywhere from Dire Straits to, you know, Bon Jovi, and of course, you know, King Michael Jackson, Van Halen, like you're talking about. But there was a lot that, because I think we saw with the 70s that, but
we're going to edit the space, that little empty space there.
But there was a lot that,
and we'll do the same for this space because you're building up your thoughts, and that's just part of the human, you know.
there was a lot that because I think we saw with the 70s that it was kind of a dismal period. I mean, we started the decade with Watergate, and we ended it with disco. So the 80s was kind of like a, oh my God, thank God that decade, the 70s, is over with. And so let's go have a good old time. And it was a cultural explosion in the 80s. And it was, I don't know, I think maybe a part of it may have been.
Yeah, that's a good, you're adding other context to it with the Watergate, people tired of the disco, all sorts of stuff.
May have been that flower child generation of the late 60s.
You know, it's still raining outside.
60s that was preaching peace and love came of age, and some of them came to power in certain industries.
The hippies ruined it for all of us. It was great, and then they became serious.
Industries, and they finally got to achieve what they wanted to. It kind of ended in crass commercialization towards the end.
Yeah.
But, you know, it will.
Yeah.
But.
And if you look at body language, Eddie, when he says it ended in crass commercialization in the end, notice the body language. Mark scratches his neck like saying, what a pain in the neck what they did.
You know, it was.
Or something like that.
But, you know, it was.
Or it could be that he's gathering his thoughts on which way to go, because sometimes people have so much information that you can't go and say it all, because everything is one word at a time and one sentence at a time. So a person could, and that's one of the problems with arguments, that you can have, you're in a conversation with someone, and you can have a multitude of different options at your disposal that you can share. But if you go down one path, you're down that path. So do I talk about this, or I talk about that, or should I include this and this and that? Because there's so much the person has as far as, you know, knowledge over a certain topic and ways to go about it. So, you know, you see all these things while you're editing.
An absolute cultural explosion. We identify generations, this and that and the other. I'm kind of in between. I don't know if they ever developed a name for my generation. I'm too old to be a baby boomer, or too young to be a baby boomer. I was born in '61. I'm certainly not a millennial. I don't know. I think I'm too early to be Generation X.
Well, you have to be baby boomer, you know.
1961, I think that's too late. I don't know. I haven't looked up the official. But I classify myself as generation uses complete sentences and punctuation.
Your tail end of the baby boomer.
You know, because I do. I text my kids and they're like, "You don't have to spell it out, Grandpa." I'm like, yeah, I do. You know. Well, you know, think about it. When like the private message and the instant message started coming out on the internet and what have you.
Let me save this. See what's going on over there. Awesome. Hey, I stepped away for a bit. I'm back now. What did I miss? Hello, Herb. Herb, hey, Matt. Dave, the wood barber, says, hello, all. What's going on, guys? Herb, Scarface. Dave, the wood barber, hello. Gathering my thoughts. Says Mark Lindsay. Hi, Matt. Mark Lindsay, no rain here still. Wow. Shoot. It's been raining here all blooming day. Dave, where is it that you're at? Where are you at? Because we have a hurricane here. hurricane. I'm sorry. We have a tropical storm here, and it's always a mess, man. It's like everything's a mess. It's hugging the west coast and going at 16 miles per hour, hugging the west coast uh, northwest north, up the west coast of Florida, and it's 45 miles per hour, the rotation of it, and it's traveling at 16 miles per hour. Consequently, we get constant rain all day, all night, yesterday, all day, yesterday, all night, today, this morning, right now, constant rain, total washout. Okay, so makes you sound like an X-Men. Who the heck knows? What? Oh, okay. Generation X. Herb says some say 64 is the start of Generation X. Herb, who the heck knows? Yeah, Dave the Woodbarber makes you sound like an X-Man. What's going on, Steve? I'm editing live while we're chatting up and stuff. Mark and I's podcast. It's a total rain out here. The storm is going up in your direction. It's probably going to dissipate. It's a tropical storm, but it's at 16 miles per hour slow. It's been raining all night. Yesterday it was raining constantly, as you know, and it's raining all day today. Heavy freaking duty rain. I even got here a leak in my kitchen, dude. There's one dropping right in front on the floor of the the I forget the damn name of the thing. The sink. One drop. Bleep. It's been that heavy that it's so I'm gonna have to go up on this roof now. Can you believe this crap, dude? Unbelievable, man. Let me see where we're at. It hasn't rained here since June 2nd. Herb, hey Steve, Dave, North England. Okay. Yeah, it's just a constant rain, yeah? It's constant. It's nonstop, constant. I bet it is that way up there too. Um, Harneo, hey Herb. Dave, Northeast England, I mean. Okay. Mark Lindsay. Don't know, Herb. Wikipedia says Generation X spans 61 to 80 to 1981. Well, wait a second. And what's your year, Lindsay? Because I think you're pretty much Generation X. Dog. But see, it has to fluctuate. So from 1961 to 1989, 1981 would be Generation X. So you're in the full throes of Generation X in the 70s, regardless. Herb, guess I'm Generation X then. I'm 64. Yo, what's up, dog? Herb Lichtenberg in the house. We're all Generation X now. How about that? Sir Steve, what's new? Damn, the thing jumped up. Um, yeah, we had rain all yesterday. Okay. Sir Steve, what's up? Yeah, we had rain all yesterday. So Steve, Mark, yeah, that was news to me too, Herb. Well, hey guys, you're all little baby Generation Xers. Join the club. Throw down some beats. I gotta love this. See, I thought it was mid 60s, to be honest with you, but apparently not. Dave the Woodbarber, hey Steve. Hi Mark. Burn the place down and start over, says Steve. Thanks a lot, Steve. That's nice. Be happy. Storm damage. I hear insurance claim coming for a new roof. Mark Lindsay, right, Steve? Jack the roof off the house, slide a new house under it, then replace the roof. Yeah, exactly, Eloy. I was born in '61, so I'm an extra. It's perfect. Oh, I couldn't have hoped for anything better on a Monday, on a soggy, rainy day. Everybody, we're passing out Generation X badges like frickin' Cracker Jack prizes. Um, it used to be 64 was the last of the boomer generation. That's what I thought, though, Steve. And I think that that's kind of still true. But I could be wrong. Some people vary it. Some places there's overlap. They say I looked into it. There's overlap. They say, but we're gonna go with giving Mark and Herb the Generation X badge, the official. Generation X Chamber of Commerce will be holding a gala. I'm a boomer, 64. Well, not according to our new statistics that Herb looked up. So sorry about that, John. You're a Generation Xer. So don't step out of line, son. You're part of the problem now. All y'all are, dude. Lindsay's part of the problem now. I love it. If you don't play Call It Stormy Monday sometime today, you're just wasting time. Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna actually, when we're done editing, I'll do that. Off the air. Okay, let me quickly here figure this out.
We were all sitting in front of PCs or Macs. We were sitting in front of desktop computers because laptops were outrageously expensive, and we had full-size keyboards in front of us. And if I want to send on Yahoo Messenger or AOL Instant Messenger to you, I'd say, hey, what's going on? I would spell it out, capital H-E-Y, period, capital W, what's going on? How are you today? And that's carried over.
Yeah.
My parents didn't want this computer thing, this newfangled doohickey, get that out of my face, that kind of thing. It wasn't until they got smartphones.
Let's crunch that open area and get him to say the next bit.
Smartphones. They learned how to text from my grandkids.
The same here. I'm gonna have to press save here in case I don't want to lose all this editing we've done here. I'll go here, save.
They learned how to text from my grandkids. So when my 71-year-old my 71-year-old father is texting me, "How are you?" HOWRU. I'm like, what are you practicing to print license plates for a living? Come on, you're 72, not 12.
I just realized when Mark just said that, I laughed right now here live, and the edit me laughed in the same fashion. We both went same thing at the same time. It's hilarious.
Not 12. That's how Katie taught me to do it. Well, Katie's 13, so
We have made a huge, monstrous leap from prior to. So to me, the threshold between before and after, at least in my mind, I hate to say this, but I'm just going to say because it is the truth.
No, we're gonna get into. At this point, we're gonna get into so the world before and the world after, in my mind, and for a lot of people, was that huge attack, on 9/11, and we're gonna get into that. So it's a little bit more somber and stuff, but we do get into some interesting conversations there. So we're at 43 minutes and 32 seconds right now. I'm gonna stop it right when you're chuckling.
Oh,
I'm gonna stop it right there. It may seem drastic, Mark. It may seem drastic, but we have all this editing here that we can use. I'm gonna send you this extra, and I still have to listen to the extra that the audio that you edited a few days ago. So what'll happen is we now have some more footage, right? Um, I mean, it's time constraints as well, dude. We could keep going and stuff, but I mean, so we've got 43 minutes and 38 seconds. That makes for a good um, podcast. Let me see here. Let's add this to the tail. Oopsie. Let's undo that. That was a bad idea. Because that was a wrong. The album concept, Trampled Underfoot. What the heck happened to them?
Trampled Underfoot.
Oh, okay, so that's the end. Okay. So it'll end like this.
He's 13, so Trampled Underfoot.
We'll end it at 43, 42. There's a lot of good stuff in there, and we've got more. But if we keep them under an hour, I think that's a good chunk. I mean, we do talk about a lot of things. So this is going to be sent to you, and we're going to, well, let's render this real quick here. I shouldn't have pressed the render button while I'm actually going live as well. So I'll probably do that offline, actually. We'll do that offline. Let me go back over here. Let me see what you guys are saying. For some reason, let me see. No matter what they call, okay, let me go back. I want to go back and read everything that I missed. Mid-60s 2, honeybees. I'm a boomer 64. Yeah, we read that. If you don't play, call. Okay, we read that. Boomers were 64. That's the listing. Well, not anymore. Be happy. Steve, no matter what they call it, we are all still your elders. Dave says, for some reason, I feel young even though I'm not. B says, baby boomers were from 46 to 64, not including the year 64. Generation X were from 64. Well, it could be that's what I read too, to be honest with you. Be happy. They were the largest group, 71 million. John, you're just old. Deal with it, says Mark Lindsay. Be happy. Calling the kettle black. Be happy. Pot. Nana Boo Boo. Mark. Generation X started in 61. Researchers disagree when the boomers ended. Some say 1960, others say 1964. No biggie. That's cool, Eloy. Send it on, okay? Be happy woodworking. Flower power rules. Herb says it's all over the map. You should read the birth date section of the Generation X wiki. I guess we can self-identify. So you can self-identify? Cool, says Be Happy. They, regardless on Boomer or Generation X, we are all brothers from another mother and sisters from other blisters. Mark and Eloy talk a lot? Nah. Herb, I'm an ex-Boomer. Yes, they do, Steve. Eloy, talk a lot? No way. Just your imagination. It was just your imagination. Well, what else do we gotta do, dude? There's only talking and frickin' videoing. What else is there for the human condition? You know? Mark Lindsay, you're as young as you feel. When I wake up in the morning, I feel like 25 years old. Problem is, there's never one around. All right. So listen, to conclude this thing, so this is the edit that we're doing for um, Trampled Underfoot. This is the site on Scratched podcast on Spreaker, and we are one of the podcasts underneath of Scratched. There's various podcasts there, and there's so many different topics and cool stuff that goes on, and we have it all these episodes you can see here. I mean, it's crazy with different people and guests and all sorts of things. So it's wild. We're putting in the work, that's for sure. So I'll drop the link to that. And there's currently a storm. Let me refresh this page because this thing has been like coming down all day long, and it's just a nightmare, man. Total freaking nightmare. I'm trying to refresh this page just to see if it's moved from 11 p.m. Let's see where we're at. Okay, so it's, let me move up. Okay, so it's moved significantly. So now the winds have picked up, incidentally. We were saying it was 45 miles per hour, the rotation of it. Now the winds are up to 50 miles per hour, so it increased by 5. It's still moving west-northwest at 16 miles per hour, so it's freaking lagging. But as it continued, and by the way, this is just the beginning. We still have a couple of months, a good amount of months to go before the season is over. It officially starts months ago, but this is sort of the time when things start getting, heavy duty with storms and whatnot. But this one is hugging the west coast, and it's now on par with Miami. It looks like just from this thing. Let me see if I can increase the. There, that's better. See, it's on the west coast, right there. We got all this rain that's been circling. So even when it reaches Tampa, we're still getting swirls, But outside, it's not as. So outside, it's not right now. Let me go check outside. I'll tell you right now how it's, and it could just come right back around to us, but. All right, so we're looking at a drizzle right now. Right now, it's a constant drizzle outside, but there's pools of water everywhere, sidewalks, everything, road. So it should get better now from this point on, but it's been raining just constantly for a couple of days. And yeah, it's heading up north. So that's that. Let me see. Let me go down here. Here's another picture. This is from 2:15 and it's 2:23. It's kind of, it's not a crazy thing. There's severe thunderstorms that are going through the Everglades right now. You see that yellow and orange. And I'm right here, right there, on the western end of Miami. So I'm inland about 25 to 30 miles, roughly. So that's how that looks. And this is the trajectory. This is what it's saying. So it's right here, and it's saying it's going towards New Orleans. Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans. And it's, right now it's at 50. When it's in the middle, it's in the Gulf, it's going to, Tuesday morning, it'll be at 60. Tuesday evening, it'll be at 70 miles per hour. So that's kind of, still that's tropical storm status, and it's getting up there towards a category 1 if it breaches that threshold. And then by Wednesday, it went down because it hit land to 45 miles an hour again, which is what we started with earlier today. And by the time it gets into Oklahoma and Texas, it's at 25. It's just a thunderstorm because land slows its momentum. Here's everything that they're. This is actually where Steve lives, up in here. And you can see this whole area in purple. Storm surge warning, storm watch. All this area. It's insane, man. It's every freaking year. Storm surge inundation. 3 to 5 feet, 1 to 3 foot, 1 to 2 foot. If peak surge occurs at high tide. Here's another graph. So it's moving away from Florida. We got it good last year, remember? Here in Florida. It was pretty barbaric what we got. Let me see. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Be happy. Florence is right behind it, heading this way. Oh, well, goodness gracious. Dave, your house should be protected by all the bigger ones around you. Hope, anyways. Yeah, well, the roofs are, it's just insane, man. Arneal. Looks like Gordon is going to come right across here. Yeah, it looks like it, but it's going to keep going towards the. You're going to get the rain that we got, more or less, kind of. Maybe not, because we're over the ocean. Well, but by the time it gets to you, it's in the 50, 45 mile per hour, swirl. And it's just been a constant, at this point, it could change, but it's been a constant freaking downpour. Just constant. Like, gray, just miserable. Yep, looks like Gordon is going to come right up. Herb, well, put on your waders and walk around the neighborhood with a live feed. Be happy. Just a southern rain event. Yeah, saying Georgia won't get the effects till next Monday. I guess he's talking about the next one. Are you in Sweetwater, Eloy? Yep, I'm in Sweetwater. Dave. Looks like we will get hit Tuesday night or Wednesday. Yeah, it kind of looks like that, dude. Y'all quit bogarting all that rain. And trust me, dude, yes, it's true, rain is a good thing, but at the same time, it's like, it's just a miserable, well, I got a drop now in my kitchen here. You can't escape it, man. It's just, I don't even know anymore, man. Y'all quit bogarting all that rain. He said, be happy. Woodworking, come and rope it and pull it up here, up there. We could do without this one. Yeah. So in any event, I'm gonna boogie. We're good. We did the edit. Rain is annoying. It limits what some can do. Oh yeah, man. It's really frustrating, But we need rain, so what are you gonna do? All right. Well, I'm gonna boogie. Thank you guys for hanging out. We did the edit, and I might leave this up there. I might put it in what do you call that? Unlisted. I don't know. It just depends. I really don't know. But in any event, at least we got that bit taken care of. Mark Lindsay, we're 6 below average rainfall right now. Yeah. All right, guys. So enjoy the rest of your day. I mean, this is insane here. Believe me, I've got a lot of stuff to do. It's just, and it's a pain in the butt, but we got something done, and we'll be in touch later. Awesome Wood Things, Steve, Dave, Be Happy, Mark, everyone. Just in case, I know Twidell was busy working. Everybody, Herb, peace out, man. Thank you for hanging out with us, dude. We miss you over on the Hangouts. So pop in if whenever you get a chance. All right, guys.